Hey guys, how you going? Hope you're all doing very well. This afternoon I'm going to be doing yet another movie review, so hopefully you find this one interesting. This movie is a horror film from the United States, English language, released in the year 2011, directed by Taylor Sheridan, and this film is called Vile. So it's also known as Pain in Australia, so if you can't find it under one title, please look for it under the other. So the story to Vile, you've got a group of friends who are travelling the countryside of the United States. They stop at a gas station, they come across this woman who needs help. She says that her car has been stranded a few kilometres up the road, she's run out of gas, so she needs someone to fill up her can and take her back there. So one of the boyfriends of the couple, he ends up doing this. He fills the can and he says, okay, we can take you there. So the girlfriend isn't really happy about this, but they end up doing this. They go down to the car, and this is where they realise the woman's true intentions. In fact, she is not so stranded as she makes out to be, but she has an intention of drugging them, and when they're drugged, they wake up in this secluded house. They can't get out. They're basically trapped inside, and this is where they realise that they're at the mercy of a very sinister event that's going to result in them inflicting as much pain as possible in order to try and get out of the house. So I'm not going to tell you why they're trying to inflict as much pain as possible. That's something you're going to have to find out for yourself, because that's as far as I'm going with my synopsis. Now my thoughts on Vile. I was very excited to see this film, but also a little bit skeptical coming into it because of the fact that this is Taylor Sheridan. Now Taylor Sheridan, he's a fantastic writer. He also directed a film called Wind River that was absolutely fantastic. But the reason why I had a degree of skepticism coming into this film is that it was 6 years previous to Wind River, and a lot of directors, they actually improve since their earlier films. And so I thought, all right, well, Wind River, I probably should have watched them the other way around, Vile first and then Wind River, because Wind River was absolutely brilliant. I love that film. So coming into Vile, I was hoping that it would be another Taylor Sheridan sort of high quality experience, but I was a little bit hesitant coming into it based on the fact that it was a much earlier work of his. And so when I saw the trailer, I thought this looks like a torture porn film. Yeah, torture porn has been thrown out there quite a lot, but I don't like that term, but this is exactly what it looked like in the trailer. But I thought Taylor Sheridan, he definitely knows not only how to write films, but also direct films, so it's going to have a little bit of a spin. It's going to be a little bit more in-depth than the trailer gives the impression. So coming into the film, that hesitation was complemented by a lot of curiosity and a lot of hope that this is a movie that was going to really hit me hard and really make it a memorable experience. But unfortunately, at the end of the day, this was an absolutely garbage film. This is a movie that I was very disappointed by, not only because it is the true definition of torture porn, but the fact that Taylor Sheridan obviously is capable of so much more. And it looks like in this movie that he made a lot of mistakes. He's capitalized on those mistakes and he's fine-tuned them to make Wind River. So as I said, this guy is a very good writer, he's a very good director, so he knows what he's doing behind the camera, and it actually shows in some instances that he does know what he's doing, especially in Vile. This is a low-budget film, but it feels like a movie of a much higher quality because he knows exactly what he's doing. So you've got the cinematography, that the setting of the film was trapped inside this house. The house had a very claustrophobic feel, and the realization that they're going to have to end up torturing each other for reasons that I'm not going to go into was very devastating, very, very cringeworthy, and the violence in this film was very extreme. The violence actually made me close my eyes on a few occasions, and that's very rare. So if you're after torture porn films, then this movie is definitely going to appeal to you because it's very extreme. The violence is actually, it translates through very well, and it does hit you very hard. And so, there are the special effects and the gore set pieces are very graphic, and so it is an extreme film, and it's a movie that tests your endurance. So if you're after an endurance tester, then Vile is definitely one for you. But unfortunately, that is where the positives stop and the negatives start, is that this is, as I said, the true definition of torture porn. It's basically one scene of extreme violence after the other, and each scene is trying to outdo the last one. And so when you've got a film that is just relying on that, you notice that it's a very empty experience because it is repetitive, and it's repetitive to a point where it does become monotonous and it does become tiresome by the time it finishes. It's very generic the way it finished. I thought, this is an eye-rolling conclusion to a film that I expected so much more from. And so if you got these characters that were very one-dimensional, I didn't care what was happening to them. They actually had a little bit of exposition behind these characters to actually get that sympathy through, but it doesn't work because there's no attention to these people. It's all the attention is put onto the extreme nature of the film, and this is the problem with a lot of extreme films, is that they rely on all the wrong things. If you have solid characters, you don't even need to be as extreme in the violence to actually have much more of a high impact. There are movies out there that are hardly violent. You've got Snowtown, especially from Australia, one of the most disturbing and uneasy films that I've ever seen, but the violence wasn't that hardcore, and so the movie is relying on all the right areas to make a film very lasting as far as memory movie is concerned. But in this movie, yes, the violence is very shocking, yes, the violence is very well done, but because there's no character development behind this violence, the violence doesn't really have any meaning, as, you know, it doesn't have any meaning apart from just being there for the sake of being there. It's just shocking you for the sake of it. And coming from a director of a much lesser quality, I would have actually excused that, but Taylor Sheridan, he obviously showed you how good he can be in Wind River, but this movie, as I said, it actually felt like a starter's film. It felt like a movie that was just thrown out there to see how the audience would take it, and basically taking on all the feedback and using that feedback in a very constructive way and making a much better film. So I probably should have seen this movie before Wind River, because when you set yourself up so high, then unfortunately, as far as violence is concerned, it's a much lower quality, and that's why I come away from it as disappointed as I was. So it's not a movie that I'm going to recommend. I thought it was garbage, and as a result of that, I'm only going to give this film 1 star. Alright guys, that's it for my review. Hope you enjoyed it. Till next time, keep watching movies, and I'll see you later.